welcome to this back of the net match day. Well, it's not a match day vlog, it's a vlog, but we're at a familiar place. It's Warwick Services, and there's a familiar face here. Tom Jordan, you alright, mate?
Yeah, I missed an away day, so I thought, should we just go to Warwick, see what happens? I think last away day we were going to a similar place, weren't we?
Yeah.
That's where we ended up tonight. So.
That's right. So yeah, we're going to Manchester today for a special event. Look, we're not going to tell you too much about it now, but there may be TV cameras involved. There may be fellow vloggers, YouTubers, etc.
Ex-footballers, maybe.
Ex-footballers.
Current footballers, who knows?
Hopefully a lot of fun. So yeah, we're going to take you with us on our day. Let's go to Manchester.
Let's do it.
So we've arrived in our hotel room. The drive up to Manchester was pretty good actually. Got here in about 4.5 hours, and that was with a stop as well. So traffic was kind to us. So we're going to a place called Box in Deansgate, and there we're going to see some people that we've chatted to, maybe online this season. I'm talking Sammy James from Fulhamish. A few people from a pod that a lot of people have had some reservations about because their opinions towards AFC Bournemouth throughout the season. So yeah, looking forward to this. And of course I'll be taking this bad boy with me. Let's do it. So we're at Box Deansgate in Manchester, and I've got to keep my voice down a little bit because I found a room next door to where they're recording, and I think they're just about to start the recording for League 2 at the moment. So just to fill you in then, I've given you a little bit about what's going on, but it's an event that's organised by the PFA in association with Vertu Motors, and it's all about the player of the season. Now, we've been brought in to chat about a potential Bournemouth candidate who might be in the running for the Championship Player of the Season. We won't tell you who that is. There's going to be some content out in the next week or two, and we'll post it on our channel and our socials to give you all the info about who that may be. But Tom's going to be on stage arguing his point with a number of other people who you've probably seen on this channel before. As we said earlier, we'll chat to Sammy James. I'll try to grab a word with Ryan Dilks from the Second Tier pod. I've seen him already. I've given him an evil eye, don't you worry. But Tom's going to be up there with Max Whittle and Kenzie Benali. And look, it's a really good event so far. All of the 4 men's leagues are being covered, as well as the WSL as well. I've seen a number of people like Neil from the Anfield Rap, which is a fantastic content producer. They do pods and written articles and YouTube videos, all sorts of stuff. When anyone mentions Bournemouth, there's always the tin pot association. I want to see of big clubs, probably one of the biggest clubs in the world, think Tim Pot when they see Bournemouth on the fixture list. I certainly hope they don't. Gab Sutton, I've seen him as well. So look, really good event, loads of food, loads of drink, and let's get back in there. Should be good. So right here, hello. If you're a Fulham fan, you'll recognise this guy, Sammy James from Fulhamish. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations to you guys too.
But we only finished 2 points behind you.
Away with you.
That doesn't represent the season, does it, really?
I don't think so, no. I must admit, when we lost 4-0 to Sheffield United on the final day and we were all on the train, looking at the league, looking at the damage, and then suddenly saw that you guys were 2 points behind us, did just feel a little bit wrong. I don't know. I don't know if that's a bit of a controversial thing to come on a Bournemouth fan channel and say, but look, I think there's been a few myths about Fulham this season and how well we've done. I think people have got a little bit misty-eyed with all the 6s and 7s and all the goal returns, and actually Fulham have lost 10 games this season. We lost more games than you guys. Like, we haven't been perfect all season. I think the score lines have taken people's focus away from that, and people think that we've walked the league. And look, we've had the joke all season of HMS piss the league and me pressing the horn button on every podcast, but like realistically, actually, there have been 10 games this season where Fulham have lost. There's been 8 more games where Fulham have drawn. Like, we haven't been a perfect team, and I think, but it's our end of season. The fact that from maybe the last 7-8 games, we knew we were promoted. We probably knew we were champions, and we just took our foot off the gas. Whereas you guys, you had Forest breathing down your necks, and you had to win. You had to win all of those last games, otherwise, you very easily could have been in the playoffs if things had gone slightly different. But yeah, the fact it's 2 points in the end, it did feel a little bit wrong.
So here we got a familiar face of the channel, Gab Sutton. How are you, buddy? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too. Last saw you on our Deadline Day show where you controversially said that a number of the AFC Bournemouth signings on Deadline Day might not fit into the mix that well, and to be fair, you weren't overly wrong, but how have you made of AFC Bournemouth's season since we last saw you?
Well, you've got over the line, haven't you? I think Tom, who was on the championship show here at the PFA Awards, was saying earlier it hasn't been pretty necessarily, but you've got the job done. I'm really going to be interested to see how you translate to the Premier League, because on the one hand, Fulham have been more convincing this season. They've had their games where they've steamrolled opponents, scoring 5, 6, 7. Bournemouth, in a way, whether it's going to be a little bit easier to adapt because you won't have to change the playing style quite so much. So that's what I'm really fascinated to see going forward.
Do you think, some people have said that we might actually be better suited because the fact that we've not conceded that many goals, we lost less games than Fulham did. We found it easier to beat the better sides this season. If you look at our record against the top half, it's actually not bad. When we're looking at the other teams, Peterborough, Hull, there are many more that spring to mind, Preston, we weren't so good. Do you think that maybe sets us up okay for the Premier League?
Well, I think that you look at players like Jadon Anthony, for example, and that pace that he can bring in transition, his combination play with Zamora as well, so on those turnovers, those two can just fly forward, can't they? So I think there will be chances for your lot to cause problems for opponents in transition. Am I convinced about Bournemouth as a team, as a sort of playing identity? No, I'm probably not. Do I trust Bournemouth when it comes to recruitment? I'm not certain. So I think that there's a lot of questions to be answered still.
I was looking for happiness and love out today, but from Gab Sutton, I'm getting none of it. Gab, where can people see your work, mate?
Sure, you can find me on Twitter at Gab Sutton. I also have a show called EFL Debate, where I talk to players, managers, fans across the EFL, even board members as well, and I have great fun with it. So you can follow me on Twitter at Gab Sutton and follow the hashtag EFL Debate.
So, if you're a Liverpool fan, you'll recognise this guy, Neil Atkinson from the Anfield Rap. Neil,
go on.
Be honest with me. When you see Bournemouth on the fixture list, what are you thinking? Are you thinking Tin Pot Club, you're going to beat us, or are you thinking back to that 4-3, thinking this could go wrong here? How do you feel when you face teams like us?
I am thinking Bournemouth away. I'm thinking great night out. I'm thinking welcoming place. I'm thinking about 1,000 postcards. I'm thinking about hitting the dance floor. And the football is secondary. We will sort out, honestly. And the other thing I'm thinking is, please God, give us August or May. With the Premier League fixture computer, please give us August or May. Nothing could make me happier than the idea. The one thing, Tin Pot Ground's interesting because the one thing I'd love is a bigger allocation. Don't get me wrong, so more of us could go. But honestly, Bournemouth, if we got Bournemouth away in August or May, I'd go without a ticket.
But when there's teams like Forest trying to get up, who've, a club that is, got so much history, a little old Bournemouth, 11,000 seat stadium, it must be a bit of
Sort of, yeah, but I'll say it again, Forest is a terrible night out. Nottingham is a terrible night out, whereas Bournemouth is a great one. And just everyone's looking for different things from when you want to go to a football match and all that sort of stuff. So you can decide that you want the club with the most storied history to always come up and be part of the whole thing. But for me, Bournemouth, I'll say it again, I just think it's a great place. It's a really good vibe. It's good to be around. I wish the ground was bigger, but apart from that, I don't really care. Liverpool, we play every year, the bottom 10, Liverpool should beat them home and away. The disparity in budget, in terms of transfers and wages, is so big. Liverpool genuinely should win, of all those games, 10 out of 10, or 20 out of 20 more accurately, bottom 10. But football doesn't work like that. This season we've got a 3-3 at Brentford. who drop points in a couple of other places. It doesn't work like that, and it shouldn't. So on paper, that's what should happen, and it should be an easy 3 points. But in reality, you've got to go and earn it every single time. And I think there's so many clubs. I think there's 36 clubs in the country that either because of the size of the place, the size of the ground, their own history, feel like Premier League clubs. But what the achievement of Bournemouth, I'd say, for the last 15 years is now Bournemouth is one of them. Bournemouth now has 4 or 5 years as being a Premier League club, so therefore in the wider imagination to become a Premier League club. If Brentford managed to do 3 seasons, 4 seasons, they become one, and then from there, I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And the idea that you've got to go through certain parameters to become one, I can't be bothered with that really.
A number of Fulham fans warned us about Parker, and to be fair, during the season we weren't overly overwhelmed with his style of football.
Yeah.
However, the more the season grew on, and we sort of got used to it.
Yeah.
And then he started getting results when we really needed it, especially in the final 10 games of the season. But even despite us getting promoted, we were still a bit like, well, he's got the job done. And then out came this video of him in the changing room, and that seemed to have changed a lot of Bournemouth fans' feelings towards him. How are Fulham fans feeling about him now? Like, he's going to join us in the Premier League. You guys in the Premier League. Is there still that kind of grinding resentment for him, or not really?
There's a bit of resentment from Scott Parker. I'd be lying if I said that he's my favourite person in football. I always have said with Parker that I think hate's a bit strong. He left us in bad circumstances. He isn't a complete Judas or whatever, but he did some things to piss Fulham fans off. I think, in my opinion, he's thrived off the narrative this season. I think he's thrived off the fact that Fulham fans don't like him. He seems to be painting that, oh, poor me, Scott Parker. I think he's played up to it at times. The Dominic Solanke having better physical numbers comment from earlier in the season, and for him to say that it's basically his team that Marco Silva got promoted, or that he thinks Bournemouth are the best team in the league. He's been saying things that have been clearly not true, and I think it's been with an inch of trying to wind up, the Fulham fan base, maybe trying to get the Bournemouth fans a little bit on side, spark a little bit of a rivalry, get a bit, maybe deflect some attention as well from what at times has been a tough season for you guys. Do I think that some of the criticism towards Park is a bit unwarranted? Yes, he won us a playoff final. We beat Brentford in the biggest game that we've played in recent years, a playoff final against our biggest rivals, and he won that game, and it was one reason just to change the subject slightly. I wasn't surprised to see you guys win that game against Forest, where it was do or die, it was all on the line, and he nullified Forest, which is exactly what he did in that Brentford game. Brentford were the favourites, Brentford were the form team, Fulham were expected to go there, and everyone's favourite Brentford was supposed to go and win that match, and Fulham, we sat in, we kept the game tight, became really dogged, and we won it with a set piece routine. Like, where have we seen this before? It was textbook Scott Parker. He has characteristics that make him a good manager. I don't think it's a dead cert that you guys are going down next year, because he can win one-off games. He's quite tactically astute, and he can motivate, but can he do it over a full season?
So what about you then? Are you confident about, you can stay up?
Well, we've been burnt before. We've come up to ice. The first time we went up, I went on every radio show or whatever, and these kind of videos, and said, oh, Fulham are staying up, we're great, we've been 23 unbeaten under Slav, and it was such a tough season. Admittedly, the last time under Parker, I did knowingly go into that season saying it's going to be really tough for us to stay up, and it was really tough for us to stay up. We made a good fist of it. Look, the logic suggests that this time we've got the best squad that we've had going into the Premier League. We are scoring goals for fun in certain games. I think the spine of our side is way stronger than it has been before. You've got players like Tosin Adarabioyo at the back, who thanks for his centre back. You've obviously got Mitrovic. Let's kind of negate Mitrovic, but even players like Harry Wilson, who have been fantastic this year, and the limelight's been away from him because of Mitro's goals. Everything suggests that Fulham should be better, but the Premier League's so flipping competitive, isn't it? You look at the teams now that are struggling to stay up, Leeds, Everton, Burnley, we're going to be amongst those teams, and it's going to be a struggle for us to be better than Southampton, who are shite, and but there are still light years ahead of us in terms of some of the players that they've got in their squad. So I'm not going to come on here and become the next person on unfortunate comments that precede unfortunate events on Twitter and say that we're definitely staying up. But I'd like to think we've got a better chance than ever. That's all I'll say.
But what Sammy has done is said that Southampton are shite, so as Bournemouth fans, we're all good with that, aren't we?
Yeah. I know my audience.
Now, I've got to ask you, there seemed to be one season in particular where we used to have a checkbook and we used to write what you say. Dom Solanke, Jordan Brad Smith.
I want to be clear. So we can have a big chat about Brad Smith and we can have a big chat about Jordan Ibe, and that's all right. And I think there might be one other.
But Dom Solanke
is a real footballer. I think he can be superb in the Premier League. Yeah. I liked him when he played for us. So he joins us in the summer of 2017. But the same summer we do Mohamed Salah. And in the December/January we do Virgil van Dijk, and I think what actually happened is Liverpool developed at a faster rate than Dominic Solanke could live with. That doesn't mean, and I watched him, I remember going away to Stoke and seeing him, he started that day, and loads of his positional play and his decisions, even then in 2017, it was the first half of the season, it was the autumn, were great. And I don't think this is a footballer, but ultimately Liverpool went at a trajectory at that point that he just wasn't quite ready for. I think, and even then though, I kept thinking over and over again, if you could just get a goal and then get another goal and back it up, I think you never know with this lad. I think he's a Premier League footballer, and I think he's coming up next year, and I think he could score 15. Like, if you said to me right now, I've come from the future, Dom Solanke's banged 15 Premier League goals for Bournemouth, I wouldn't go, you've not come from the future, there's no way that'd happen. I think there's every chance I think he's a quality footballer, and I think so by all means, let's laugh at Brad Smith, fill your boots, but I think Dom Solanke is more than good enough to do 3 or 4 seasons at Bournemouth in the Premier League where his goal return is 60-70 goals.
Here's a face you'll recognise.
Aye.
/ despise. I don't know. Ryan Dilks, second tier pod. Right. What is your agenda against Bournemouth? I'm going to ask, because I'm sure you've been asked that a lot from many clubs in the Championship. Is that right?
Oh yeah, my agenda against Bournemouth, just despise the club as a whole. If it got blown up, I won't care. No, I don't have an agenda against Bournemouth. I've been, in the first half of the season, I really liked what was going on at Bournemouth. I thought you could clearly see they had a plan of what was going on, but then second half of the season, it seems like the brakes have suddenly been hit on that, and that's where the questions have come of Scott Parker in particular. And I know plenty of Bournemouth fans have had questions about Scott Parker.
Of course, yeah.
But when someone from outside the club criticises Scott Parker, that's when it seems to become contentious for whatever reason. But no, I haven't got an agenda against Bournemouth. It's just been a bit sceptical of them over the past few months, and I think Bournemouth fans I've spoken to have shared that scepticism themselves. So I think it's just one of them.
How many teams haven't said that, or is it pretty much everyone that said that you've got an agenda against them?
I've got an agenda against everyone for some rhyme or reason. I don't really know why. It seems like whenever you criticise someone, that instantly means you've got an agenda. Or that's just Twitter.
And just to be clear, it's not a clickbaity thing. It's not like you're making decisions just to get some kind of reaction.
No.
Because I noticed that on one of your latest Team of the Year, there was, Dom Solanke was in it, but a lot of people expected Mark Travers to be in it as well. He wasn't.
Yeah, I actually wanted Travers in my season, to be honest.
And you gave your explanation, but it's not done to antagonise, right?
No. So the way I see it is, and this is me getting a bit philosophical about Twitter. Whenever you criticise someone, you're going to upset someone anyway. So you may as well just be honest, because you're never just going to please anyone. So what's the point in trying to pander to everyone? So that's the way I approach the podcast nowadays. Initially, when I started, I was thinking about, what are QPR fans, for example, going to think about this? Now I just say what's on my mind. But with regards to the team of the season, you're talking about the 3 players who missed out, which were Lloyd Kelly, Phil Billy, Mark Travers. All have had amazing seasons. It's just the standard in the Championship this season has been so high that they were like seconds behind the players like Henderson. Like Lloyd Kelly was in our halfway team of the season, but since then the likes of Cal Naismith, for example, have stepped up at Luton. So the reason we put out that clip was because we thought we had to put some sort of explanation for the team finishing second, only having one player in the team of the season, which may seem odd, and that's the reason we put it out. But the Bournemouth players individually have had great seasons. It's just at different moments you thought, I think those guys have just edged over the Bournemouth players.
Look, the other end of the pitch, Nat Phillips, been on loan with us, and he's done amazing.
think. Yeah,
Do you like him?
I think he's done well. I think like we're looking to sign him. We're looking to sign him off you. Like there's rumours of like £6 million or so. I mean, maybe you're laughing at that, maybe you're not. But he's done so well for us. I mean,
I'm not laughing at £6 million for Nat Phillips at all. He's a really solid, I think, bottom half of the table Premier League centre half. He was brilliant for us when we needed him, and so I would never want to feel as though it's being disparaging towards him when we had to call upon him. And what he did, and the certainty with which he did it, the class with which he showed, I think he's a clever footballer. We always describe attacking midfielders as clever footballers, but actually the footballers where it matters, the clever footballers, is central defenders. I think he's a clever footballer, so I'd love him to have a home. I'd love it, like, if you're buying, you've got to keep him for 8 years, them's the rules. He's got to become a Bournemouth fixture. He's got to become someone who genuinely, and again, if you buy him, I hope you keep with Solanke. I hope the two of them do keep it in the Premier League, because you want footballers to be happy. Nat deserves to be happy. He was brilliant for us. He was there when we needed him, and it's important he goes somewhere where he gets to play.
Yeah. There you go, Neil from the Anfield Wrap. What a guy. Thanks, Neil.
Hello.
Thank you. Alright, so the two teams you're going to be talking about for the Premier League next season in Norwich and Watford. Who do you think is going to be the third? Who do you think is going down?
Leeds.
Do you think that?
Yeah.
We'll think it as well. We'll hope it, but we'll think it.
I didn't say I hope it. I do kind of hope for it, because I want Leeds or Everton to go down, because, big fan bases, money for the podcast. But I think it's going to be Leeds, just because the wheels seem to have come off under Jesse Marsh recently. Initially it seemed like they had a bit of a bounce back under Marsh, but it doesn't seem like that's really happening now. It seemed like they're in a bit of a mess, whereas Everton, at one point, I seriously thought Everton were going down, but now they seem to have pulled it away, so it looks like it's going to be Leeds. Burnley could still get dragged into it. I think they're on the same number of points as Leeds, aren't they? Am I right in saying that? So it's going to be tight, but it looks like right now it's going to be Leeds.
Ryan, where can people see your work?
They can find us on Second Tier Pod at Twitter. They can find us on YouTube, Second Tier Podcast. They can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Second Tier. See you soon. Well, you won't see us soon because you're Bournemouth fans and you're going up, so...
So we got Charles here from the It's All Cobblers to Me pod.
Yeah.
And you know what? I feel for you, mate. I feel for you. I mean, look, you're probably still going to go up. We hope you will. By the time this video goes up, it's still at the balance. However, on that last game of the season, I don't want to talk about it for too long, but well, I'm going to. 3-1, like, you probably think you've got it all in the bag. And then Bristol Rovers, blimey, 7-0.
You can't think that they're going to do it. That's the issue. There's no way that you think to yourself that a team is going to go and win 7-0. Fair play to Bristol Rovers, first of all. Fair play to them. They went and they did exactly what they had to do. But I mean, it's gutting. And I mean, there's a lot been said already about Scunthorpe's team, the fact they put out all these youth teamers. But at the end of the day, you've just got to give credit to Rovers for having done it. I'm not going to be one of those people that turns around and says, "Oh, it's rubbish, ridiculous. I can't believe it." Fair play to them.
Are you going to get promoted? Yes or no? Come on.
Yes. Obviously we're going to get promoted.
If he says it, it's happening. There you go.
It is.
We're now here with Kenzie Benali.
Hello.
How are you? You're doing okay?
Really good, thank you. How are you?
Really good. It's been a really good event today, hasn't it?
It's been so much fun. Yeah, really, really nice to talk to everyone about the season.
Right, so people may have picked up the surname. If they haven't, who are you?
Sorry.
Daughter of Franny Benali, Southampton legend. To Bournemouth fans, yeah, he's a legend. However, there's a little bit of a rivalry that we think is there. We're back into the Premier League. Who are your real rivals?
I'm sorry. Listen, I'm actually delighted for Bournemouth. I'm so happy to see them back in the Premier League. Hugely deserved. I think Scott Parker's done a brilliant job. But for me, there are no other rivals for Southampton and Portsmouth. I'm sorry.
Oh, you know what? I'm not happy about Slip though. So you've not played Portsmouth in the okay? You played in the League Cup.
Yes.
And you smashed them 4-0.
Of course.
However, in the league, you've not played them in a while. In Bournemouth, you've played a number of times. Look, I'm trying to create a rivalry here.
You're doing your best. I just can't see it. Like, genuinely, from a Southampton fan's perspective, I really like to see the Cherries doing well. You know, yes, they're a fellow South Coast side, but for me, as long as they're not playing Saints, I am genuinely rooting for them. I really actually like them a lot.
I was saying to you briefly earlier that back in the day, at half time, like your fans used to cheer when Bournemouth were winning at half time. But however, now it doesn't happen. So, what are your thoughts of next season? Is Southampton going to be okay? Because they kind of dropped a little bit. You know, finishing the season, they start the season really well, finish the season not so well. Are they going to be alright next season? Are Bournemouth going to be alright?
I'll start with Southampton.
Go on.
I think we'll definitely be okay next season. Obviously looking to improve on this season. Yes, we have stuttered towards the end of the campaign, which is a shame because we did have higher hopes and higher ambitions for this season. It would have been nice to better what we did last year. Wanted to finish inside that top 10. But look, Ralph's had a tough job really. If he can have a good summer, good bit of business over the summer, hopefully under the new owners, Dragon, I'd really back them to have a positive season next year. So yes, Southampton will be fine. And
right, Bournemouth.
In terms of your team,
we're worried about that.
Let's talk about the Cherries. I think they're a great side. Scott Parker has done a phenomenal job. I said about it in the recordings we did earlier about his halftime talk he did during the promotion decider.
It's gone viral.
And rightly so. I mean, it got the hair standing up on the back of my neck. And look, I really hope it goes well for them. The Premier League is the best league in the world, isn't it?
It's also a relentless league and it's a horrible league sometimes.
Yes, it's not going to be easy. But look, Bournemouth are a very good side, and they've shown in the past that they can do the business in the Premier League. I'd really like to see them stay up. I really hope they do.
I like it you're saying that.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. So look, I'm going to stick my neck out and say yes, Bournemouth will survive next season.
Love that from you. Okay, however, when it comes to Derby Day that isn't Derby Day,
yes,
you're going to be fully in your red and white, right?
Of course, I'm really sorry to say I'll be firmly in the Saints camp for that one. But yeah, otherwise I genuinely will be cheering for you. Might even get down to the Vitality Stadium at some point for a little day out. But no, on that occasion I will be supporting the Saints all the way, of course. But yeah, the only rivalry on the South Coast for me is the blue side.
You've heard it from up the Cherries. Tom Jordan in the hubbub of Manchester. So there we go then, a night in Manchester where we chatted football with a number of people, one of which was Tom Jordan. Tom, you alright?
Yeah.
Good evening, good afternoon, I thought, chatting all things football.
Well, hang about. Yeah, we're all good. Yeah, no, it was nice, mate. Just go to an event, meet other people that just love talking about football, which I don't mind doing. So yeah, no, it was nice to meet a few people, Gab Sutton and co, and obviously second tier pod. Yeah. But no, nice to meet some people that you've kind of seen the Twitter handles and the YouTube and the podcasts and get to meet them in person. And like you say, just chat about football, mate. And yeah, really well put on event, I thought.
Yeah, so we're going to be giving you more info about what we went to tonight on our socials. Make sure you follow AFCB podcast. Look, we're probably going to be going to sleep soon, maybe a bar or two, whatever. However, we'll see you in the morning, shall we?
I thought you were going to do the Premier League thing, and then I was going to go but you blew it. You absolutely blew it.
See you in the morning. Bye-bye. It's time for bye-byes. Right, so it's the morning after, the night before. Here with Tom. It's a good night last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, it was a really nice group there, wasn't it? It was nice to engage people. There's so many people that you've probably spoke to online, so it was nice to just put some faces to the names and have a good chat about stuff. All things football, mate.
All things football, and it was an event brought to you by the PFA and Vertu Motors as well at Box in Deansgate, Manchester. And yeah, it was a build-up event for the divisional awards for the play. I mean, I reckon you can probably guess a few of them in the Championship, can't you? But soon we'll have a video on this channel and some content on our socials which features Tom in action, and we'll get those links out to you. But yeah, it was a really good event and really good to chat to some fellow content producers, content creators that we're going to be mingling with next season, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some Premier League ones in there, and also people like Gab Sutton as well. Just his knowledge is ridiculous, so it was nice to just pick him a little bit for his knowledge. But yeah, it was really laid back, really well put on. Plenty of food on there, plenty of drink as well. So yeah, that was really nice, and it's match day, mate. So I'm still deciding. It's still Saturday, innit? So I literally just packed the Bournemouth shirt for Saturdays because that's what it's all about. And then we managed to watch the old playoff finals, playoff semi-final as well, Luton Huddersfield, and thought, that could have been us. But it's not, mate. It's not.
And briefly on that, I mean, Huddersfield look like they're in pole position now.
Yeah, I'd say so. Obviously, it was only a draw, so it's pretty well balanced. But that was the away leg, and Huddersfield looked the better team. They looked a lot better football team, and we were saying, weren't we? We probably don't have that gauge this season because we've done really well against them both times. So you don't realise, but they've been thereabouts all season, so they could be a dark horse in these playoffs, I think. But just nice we can sit back, watch it, and go, "God, who's coming to join us?"
Love it, love it. If you're brand new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button. Really appreciate all your support, and stay tuned. More content coming to you very soon. Love the Cherries.
Cheers.